What's up, everybody? It is Casey with Two Worlds Podcast, and with me, as always, it's the Dr. Frankenstein to mine, Frankenstein's monster. It's Jake. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm not too bad. I'm feeling pretty spooky for Halloween.
I know. What a day, huh? It's a
Yeah,
beautiful day outside. Beautiful Halloween day.
it's not here. It is windy and terrible.
Oh, okay. I took like a 2 mile walk this morning and it was like around 50 degrees. It was a little chilly, but this is my element. I like the
Yeah,
cooler weather.
yeah. I went on a run this morning and I had Popeyes yesterday, and I've just not stopped using the bathroom. And so, like the run, like I got like a mile and a half out away from home, and I was like, this is a bad idea. I had to stop and walk, and then that was like cool enough on my belly that I was able to walk home.
That's funny. Glad you didn't have an accident there.
Yeah, been like, well, that way I could, if I would have just taken a picture and been like, this is what 30 miles of running looks like. And, I could just have posted that and,
Right.
knowing that it was only 2 miles and I pooped myself.
Anyway, folks, hope everyone's having a delightfully spooky day, week, whenever you're listening to this.
Yeah.
But we will hop into our news now. Casey, I think you've got one or two more, so take it away.
Okay. So the first thing that I saw is that we're getting a Doom 2, which really, Dune, not Doom, which should, not surprise anybody. I guess that did such a huge number, huge numbers in general. So it shouldn't be too shocking. So that's pretty cool. Did you watch it yet?
Nope. I plan to eventually, but it's not one I had to run out there and see immediately.
Yeah, I just had no interest. Like I tried watching the original a few times and I was just like, this is too weird. And this one just looks like it's gonna be even weirder. So I don't know.
I love
It was
watching everybody make fun of it. Even like, and
yeah.
it's people that liked it, but they say it's just a lot of like music and people turning and looking into the wind.
Yeah, I saw someone, I think it might have been Kevin McGuire on Twitter. He's like, I went and he's like, I saw Dune the way it was meant to on my phone.
That's funny. Um, let's see here. Speaking of spooky stuff, Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino will be launching a new horror book in 2022. It's called The Bone Orchard Mythos. Yeah, it's going to be a 6-issue series that Lemire promises will be the most ambitious thing that he and I have done together. It's going to be put out by Image, and it's going to be part of their Image is going to do a big like 30th anniversary extravaganza, and it's going to be part of that.
Nice. That sounds pretty cool. Like I was just thinking while you're bringing this up, it's like, has Andre Sorrentino ever worked with Scott Snyder?
I don't know. Maybe
Because
not.
it'd be pretty cool. Because it seems like he works mostly with Jeff Lemire, and then like Scott works a lot with Francisco Francavilla, and like they need to do like a swap, like a
They
horror
do.
swap, and I would be all about that. Either way, I'm going to be reading this book, so it doesn't matter. But I'm like, man, that'd be pretty cool just to see like that Yankee swap, I guess.
Right. Do like a special one shot of witches or American Vampire.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Okay, so we're getting a new Ghost Rider series. It's going to be written by Benjamin Percy and Corey Smith. Is going to be on the art. Johnny Blaze is Ghost Rider in this, so I don't know, where Robbie is or anything that's going on that way, but it should be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. I
I'll
love
tell
Ghost
you where
Rider.
Robbie is on the back burner because fans prefer Johnny Blaze.
Yeah, and that's the same. Like, which it's kind of dumb though, because the picture that's on the cover, Johnny Blaze, he's on a motorbike, but he's not on a Johnny Blaze motorbike. He's on a Danny Ketch motorbike. Because Danny Ketch had the coolest dang motorbikes.
He
It's like
did.
that's the problem with Robbie. It's like Robbie looks cool, but he's driving a car. Those can only be so cool.
Right. I don't disagree, man. And Danny's that was like second series in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Johnny was like the typical 90s guy. He had a ponytail, he had a trench coat, and he had guns.
Just like Nomad and I don't know anyone else during that time.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think a lot of my well, I won't say a lot. Many of my customers will be very excited for that series. A lot of
I'm for sure
people,
checking it out.
a lot of people will like go over their poll to make sure it's up to date, and they're always like, "Keep Ghost Rider on just in case."
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. Um, so apparently, Bill Murray is going to have a role in Ant-Man 3 or Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, whatever it's called. So that's exciting for those Bill Murray fans out there.
Yeah, I think it'd be funny if he was just uh, Paul Rudd's Ant-Man. Like, since they're doing time travel stuff, if like jumps forward, like Wasp jumps forward in time, and then he's just like, "Oh, hey, I'm Ant-Man," and then like, "Oh, that's crazy," and he has to be Ant-Man for a little bit, and then it just goes back. It's like, "Oh yeah, we just used Bill Murray for 5 minutes."
Well, I hope he's Garfield.
Just, I hope, but like they don't use CG. They just like strip him
It's
naked.
him
They
in a
paint
cat
him.
suit. Oh, or what about like the new Cats movie style, but with Bill
Oh,
Murray?
that'd be wonderful.
The furries would go nuts.
I mean, honestly, even they hated cats, so I doubt it.
True.
All right. Oh, speaking of furries, I watched a YouTube video on kin penders today. I meant to send you, but I didn't.
I'm sure that was entertaining.
It was pretty awful. So Screen Rant has rumored new Marvel movies in development, so they kind of like released this. It's Screen Rant, so you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, but I figured it'd be interesting anyway. So we're supposedly going to get Thunderbolts, Nova, Shang-Chi 2, and World War Hulk, all part of Phase 5, and then Fantastic Four's already been confirmed. So it's like I could see Thunderbolts happening. Nova's still like, in my opinion, hard for them to do. I think Shang-Chi is going to happen no matter, and I don't think World War Hulk's happening at all.
I mean, they already screwed up that setup, so
Yeah.
I think it would be pretty dumb if they did that. But
But
I don't know. I mean, you don't want to see Nova, and after knowing what they've done with Thor, I don't blame you. I want to see it if it was done right, which is a silly thing to say, but you know what I mean.
I mean, you've talked though about, oh, they can't do World War Hulk. They can't really do Nova because the Nova core has been ruined from that first Guardians movie.
Yeah,
It's like, oh yeah, what are we gonna do? Soldiers that movie about a soldier that flies a ship with no powers.
right. Yeah, that's fair. Thunderbolts I could see happening, and that would be cool because Thunderbolts 2 could be a totally different team.
Yeah. The only downside to like a Thunderbolts movie and with it working, because it's like I always hear Tony Guerrero talk about Thunderbolts when it first happened being one of the coolest things. And it's like you're not gonna get that with these movies because they're gonna, I mean, they're already kind of, talking like kind of like leading you to believe it's gonna happen with Florence Pugh's White Widow, Black Widow character, and then like probably gonna get US agent and all those type of guys like to be the this team, and it's like, yeah, that's really cool, but I don't see that panning out too well as far as them actually kind of like doing a cool build up like it was in the comic books.
That's true. And dude, that issue of Thunderbolts, they first appeared in I think it was Hulk, right?
I have no idea.
Pretty sure it was Hulk. Yeah, it was Hulk. But anyway, it was like it's still such a big deal. Like I think like Raw, that's still easily $100 book.
Wow.
Um, but anyway, I still think it'd be neat to see it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, moving on. So Marvel is going to be launching Savage Spider-Man, which is going to be a spin-off of Nonstop Spider-Man, because Marvel just, and I know they're not the only ones that do it, but they just can't help themselves when it comes to 5 issues and then relaunching at number 1. It's going to be still written by Joe Kelly, but instead of the artist that was on it, whose name I'm blanking on, it will be drawn by Gerardo Sandoval. So, if you guys liked Nonstop, check out Savage.
Yeah, I won't. I did not like Nonstop. Tried one issue and that was it.
Yeah, I read one and it was okay, but it wasn't good enough for me to like keep reading it. The art was
Yeah.
cool, but
All right. So James Wan said the Trench movie would have actually been a Black Manta movie. It's because like someone asked him, they're like, "Hey, would you ever do a Black Manta movie for like HBO Max?" He's like, "Well, actually, this Trench movie would have been that." And it's like, well, why keep it a secret? Because that's way more interesting than a Trench movie. And my only guess is Jeff Johns, who was head of, was like the head of the things at the time, was like, no, I'll make more money if we call it the Trench. So that's my only thing that makes any sense to me, because no one's gonna get hyped about the Trench, even if it is done by James Wan, like a more horror type movie. That's not gonna be a thing that's gonna get people hyped. Black Manta woulda.
I agree. I think like that would have had the same effect as like John Carter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do like Warlord of Mars, way more people are going to see that as opposed to John Carter. Same thing with Black Manta versus The Trench.
Yeah.
Even though John Carter I thought was pretty good.
Yeah. I always liked it. Okay. And then um Sony, apparently Sony's got some leakage issues. They need a plumber bad, because they've like possible costume leaks have happened. So we've seen, like, if you look online, you can find Tobey Maguire's costume, Andrew Garfield's costume, and Tom's costume, and then also Green Goblin's costume. The Green Goblin one looks pretty cool. It looks like a nice update to the original, and the other two are still pretty much like Andrew Garfield's is still like, I think it was Amazing Spider-Man #2, and then Tony Maguire's is still the perfect costume that he had from the beginning. So that's pretty exciting. I hope I hope that it actually happens, because like, just for Marvel's sake, if Toby and Andrew aren't in this, it's gonna it's just gonna like ruin them. They'll be burned down to the ground.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know. Like I want to be excited for it, man, but I just don't know anymore, you know? Like
Yeah.
who's to know?
I mean, the third Spider-Man movie has never been good. Like the third, like Spider-Man 3 with Toby, they did too much and it was bad. Amazing Spider-Man 3, so bad it didn't even get made. So this one might not be very good at all.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
All right. My final bit of news. Marvel has teased Iron Fist no more. And so yeah, basically Michael YG. I mean it's just capital Y, capital G, so I don't know if that stands for something. And Alyssa Wong will be debuting a new Iron Fist in February. Um, you and I both read that last miniseries, Heart of the Dragon, where Danny gives up being the Iron Fist. And now in a new 5-issue miniseries, a new hero will take his place. Um, and you know, comic book fans are known for accepting change. I'm sure it's going to go over very well. You already know I'm not happy about it, even if it doesn't last. Because I feel like I gotta wait so long in between series, and this last one I didn't care for, so it's like had to wait extra long, and now they're just getting rid of them. So we'll see. Apparently, Danny is still gonna like play a part in it. I don't know what all he's gonna do, but they said he will be in it to some capacity, like investigating something or other. So we'll see. Of course, I'm going to read it because I like to complain about things, but maybe it will be good. But the they showed the cover for the first issue, and it looks like that potentially, and I don't know for sure because there's a mask on it, but I think they're going to be an Asian character. And I wonder if any of that stupid backlash from the live action show had anything to do with that decision, or if this was totally organic.
I think a big part of it is, and that's one thing that's kind of funny, how like was kind of hilarious, because first off, like I'm actually kind of excited about this. I think Iron Fist is one of those characters that can work like Wolverine or Batman, where you can have more than one. I'm worried that people are talking on Twitter about how, they're just going to retire Iron Fist, Danny the character, and I don't want that to happen. But like I said, I think Iron Fist as a whole can work as like multiple Iron Fists. Like we can have, it's fist, just put an S at the end. But the thing that like was funny though is like people were talking like, oh man, they're making him an Asian character. That's great. You're correcting the wrongs of the Netflix series. And then one person goes like, yeah, but the Himalayan representation that they would be actually taking from is very low. Like, look at this character. He's not Himalayan at all. He's not matching my people. Like I'm Himalayan and they're not doing anything for me, even though that's where he would have been from. It's like, wow, you guys are having to get more and more specific. The more and more you try to self-correct, like soon it's going to be like, oh, he wasn't born these years specifically that, would have worked, and I don't like it. And we're, all 5 of us are going to get very upset with you.
Yeah, now be careful. Marvel's going to put out a Marvel Voices for all their Himalayan characters.
Yeah. So, cause that's so like, I mean, I get, like, they also just want more Asian representation. That's one thing that you can kind of tell they're trying to strive more for. Cause like that Marvel Voices book that I got, it was pretty barren on the Asian characters. So
Dude, they have
like,
plenty though. I'm not saying that more is a bad thing at all, but
yeah,
it's like just do something with the ones you have. Like,
see,
they tried this whole new Agents of Atlas movement and then just like dropped everything.
yeah. Well, it's part of the problem, I think, too, is like even though their editor is, Japanese, they the only writer that really like for the longest time that was writing Asian characters was Greg Pak. He was the only one. Everyone else was doing, what character was popular at the time. Greg Pak was actually trying to, like, he made the Agents of Atlas characters and all the, a lot of those stuff. So it's like, yeah, without him, you wouldn't have half of this stuff. So it's like, I think now since they're actually hiring more Asian people, they're gonna actually start writing these characters. That's my assumption.
We shall see. The thing, like, just going back to this specific instance, I don't like Iron Fists as much as Wolverines because I think it takes away the fun myth of one person has to go and beat,
Yeah.
what's his name? Shulao, the Undying.
Yeah, and there was also talks too, though, that because I remember reading the plot synopsis and it's kind of like Danny's trying to figure out who this dude is, and there shouldn't be an Iron Fist right now after the last series because the dragon's back in the egg or whatever, and it's like, so this power could be coming from a different source. So,
I mean, if that's the case, then it's fine, but also give Danny his power back. Like, and I know that Marvel really cares what Jake Dilly, thinks, but it's like, dude, I'm reading 3 characters from your entire lineup. Please don't take away one of them. But it's whatever. I mean, Marvel has, ruined plenty of our favorites. I'll say collectively our favorites. So, but I'm still going to read it. And, if it's good, then I'll say it's good. I have no trouble being wrong about that.
I hope it is. I mean, because you didn't really like the Larry Hama one. I enjoyed it, but it did feel more like an event. And then the one before that, the series before that, where it was by the dude that did Spider-Man. No,
it was the Ed Brisson.
The one before that one, where it was by the guy that made Spider-Man Reign, and he did the art for it too.
Oh, Kari Andrews, yeah.
Yeah, that one was just terrible. So I'm hoping this one's gonna be. It's like it goes good, terrible, good, okay, good. That's what I'm hoping.
Man, that Ed Brisson one was fantastic.
It was so much fun. It was just stupid fun. Okay, right. So my next bit of news is another comic book thing. Tom King and Elsa Charretier are working on a creator-owned book together. And this kind of sucks because I really like Elsa. but I do not like Tom King, so I will not be checking it out.
What has she done?
She's done like I didn't like she's done random little books here and there, but then she's also just I follow her on social medias because different creators liked her stuff, and like she's done like I know she did a Harley Quinn book for a little bit and like some other stuff there, but I don't think I've read anything that she's done proper. But her art style gives me Darwin vibes, and it's really good. And oh, and she did that Kickstarter where if she got so much money, she'd get like her Chip Zdarsky to write a like what was it? Like one of the stretch goals was like Chip and her would do a like smut book together.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, so they're gonna be doing a creator own book together. I'm it's a disappointment I'm not gonna be able to get a Elsa book, but whatever. And then my last bit of news: Michael B. Jordan's Val Zod HBO Max project has got Darnell Metier and Josh Peters as writers. They like most recently they worked on the Transformers Rise of the Beast movies, but like when I was looking at their credits, they don't have a lot. I think they might have just punched up that script, so they might not have, been overly involved as far as like the main script writing. But that's really the main thing I saw on their thing. So let's hope they're good.
Yeah, I do too. I don't want any of this stuff to be bad.
No. And this one could be a lot of fun. And it's also not, it hasn't been really said yet if Val is going to be played by Michael B or not.
It seems like, and I could be wrong, I'm not an expert on him, but it seems like he likes to be in the projects that he's like overseeing.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious if he was like, yeah, I'm going to be Val Zod and Static because he's producing both. And so like he's pretending to be like the high schooler Static while also being Val Zod in the other movie.
Yeah. I really hope that rumor of him being Static isn't true. As much as I like him, he's just too old.
He even said it's not true. He's like, I'm not doing that. I'm too old for that.
Oh gosh, I'm so excited for Static and that animated Milestone movie. I hope both are awesome.
Same, dude.
Okay. I believe that is the end of the news. So we'll take our ad break and then we'll be back and talk some comics. Casey, anything fun for us this week?
Not really fun, but I do have a story. I was going to share it last week, but you had one, so I'll share it this time. So, like last year, I saw a Facebook ad for like, oh, are you ready to start medaling in all of your like medals? It's in like, oh, winning a medal in all of the races you do. Well, sign up for this email, blah blah blah. So I just like whatever. So I signed up for it, and then I had never actually contacted the person that actually tries to set up a training thing. And so then I was finally like, you know what? Heck with it. I want to do that. So I emailed the person and it turns out it's a lady and she was like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. We set up a time and it was supposed to be, I think last Monday at 10 o'clock was when we're supposed to have our meeting. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And it was raining that day. Like, cause like normally when I'm loading stuff, I have some downtime. I could, it's supposed to be a 15-minute interview, talk. But then I was like, well, it was raining. So I just kind of had my microphone set up and I was like, this will be nice. And, we can talk. And I was in the waiting room, waited there for 30 minutes. She never showed up. And so like she had messaged me once on Instagram. So I messaged her and I was like, hey, you said you were excited and you're, getting ready for it and you never showed up. Well, the heck, she's like, oh, I was waiting, but you weren't there. I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, well, we can try it on Instagram. Like, does 12:30 work your time? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So I wait around till 12:30. I eat my lunch and stuff, and then I get on Instagram and like I'm on Instagram, I'm waiting, and like it pops up video call and it just goes away in like 1 second. And so then I'm like, what the heck? So I go to it and I video chat her back. And it sits and rings for a minute, nothing. Do it again. Sits and rings for 2 minutes, nothing. And then she never talked to me again.
And she did that to say, well, I tried calling you.
Yeah, I think 100%. Like, because in her emails she was saying like, "Oh, we're already booked up for this, this program." So I think it was just like she got booked up and already, and since I was like, uh, you know, like on the Monday, like one of the last reserved things, that she was just like, "Well, not gonna bring him on as a client because I already got booked up, so I don't really need him, but I'll pretend like I'm putting in the effort." But it's not really necessary. That's like my one thought. But I was like, man, that's
Right.
pretty shitty.
It is. It's very
So
shitty.
I'm gonna pull up her name. So if anyone here wants to like bombard her with 1-star ratings, if that's a thing you can do, go ahead.
Gosh.
Um, it's Jade Skill in Athlete. That's her Instagram handle. So yeah, I mean, yeah, she not much of an athlete if you ask me.
Oh, shots fired.
Pew 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 pew.
Well, I'm sorry that happened to you, man.
I mean, it's cool. At the moment, I'm saving money, and this is just gonna, like, I say this right now. I am driven to meddle on my own, and then when I get that, just do a Instagram post being very petty and tagging her in it, giving her the bird. Do I think I'm gonna actually meddle? Probably not. I'll probably get tired of it and be like, running's hard. So, it's hard to say.
Just if you do, just make sure the caption is "Don't ever meddle in my affairs again."
I'm writing that down because you're spitting heat, man.
That's what I do. Alrighty, folks, welcome back. Thanks for listening to our ad. Or if you want to hear Casey call out some lady, some fake athlete lady on Instagram, go check out our YouTube page.
A fake leet, as we call them.
Yeah, as of right now. And that is at our YouTube channel, which is just Two Worlds Podcast on YouTube. But anyway, Casey, let's talk about some comics. I'm not starting the timer, but I will be prepping the timer so that we don't forget.
What's the timer for this week?
Well, this week, Casey, it is the Hour Man 1 hour, 60-minute spooktacular showdown.
Nice.
What comics did you read?
So I read Swamp Dogs, House of Crows. I want to say Swamp, House of Crow Dogs. Adventureman, number 6. Wolverine, number 17. The Amazing Spider-Man, number 77. Chew, number 9. Daredevil, number 35. Aquaman, 2 of 6. Oh, Aquaman the Becoming, 2 of 6. Running out of lap space. Being ridiculous. Okay, DC versus Vampires, 1 of 12. Task Force Z, number 1. Robin, number 7. Wonder Girl, number 4. And Batman the Long Halloween Special. What about you, dude?
And we are going to be real close on our hour this week. There was a lot of books.
I know.
But yes, I read Wonder Girl, DC versus Vampires, Task Force Z, Robin, Detective Comics, Aquaman the Becoming, Batman Long Halloween Special, Cross to Bear, Hellboy Silver Lantern Club, Aquaman Green Arrow Deep Target, and Moon Knight.
Nice, man. So, did you read more or about the same?
I read 11 books.
Okay, and I read 12. So I'll
counting's
start.
hard.
I know. Okay, so I'll start. I'll go with Swamp Dogs, House of Crows, or Swamp House of Crows Dogs. And this is by J.M. Brandt and Theo Prasidis, and illustrated by Kimber Ball. And so first, I'm just going to start, even though we don't have a lot of time, I'm going to start by reading the what I read on scoutcomics.com. This is their shorter synopsis than I read, Jake, before we started. They came from the swamp, the scummiest squad of Confederate soldiers brought back to life by powerful voodoo magic. They crave power, carnage, and female flesh. They are the swamp dogs. So I was like, that sounds interesting. They're the bad guys, and we get, they're fighting people. And the colors in it, pretty good. Francisco Francavilla vibes. Digging it. The book itself is starts off with the Confederate guys being killed, and then it goes to a party, and this one girl seduces this other girl in bed, and then they just end up screwing, and then it ends with some zombies, but you don't get much. It's like, I was just reading this, I was like, man, nothing really happened. But then I read in the other thing I read to Jake earlier, they're going for grindhouse feel, and I get that. So I'm gonna give it one more issue. This issue wasn't that good, but I do want to kind of see where it goes, and I'm hoping the next issue actually something happens. So I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 10, but it's got hope to be good for the next one.
Right on. Okay. I will do Moon Knight number 4. And this is written by Jed McKay, and art is done by Alessandro Capuccio. And first off, what a cool cover.
Mm-hmm.
We got some tiger on the cover. And, thankfully that wasn't just a cover appearance. She's in the book too, which is really fun. But anyway, she shows up and she's like, hey, Mark, it's been a while, like since we were on West Coast Avengers together. Just I saw your little business thing here and thought I'd come say hello. And they're catching up and whatever. And one of like Jigsaw's cronies, like who doesn't work for Jigsaw anymore, basically hacks Moon Knight's bank accounts, like under I think it was the Stephen Grant name, which apparently Stephen Grant has like millions of dollars. So anyway, breaks into his account, calls Moon Knight and is like, check your bank account. I just got rid of $1 million and I'm going to get rid of more unless you work for me and do as I say. Moon Knight's like, okay, what do you want me to do? So he has him go and like kick the crap out of Jigsaw. And he does that and then just shows up at this guy's like wherever he's located. And the guy's like, what are you doing? Why are you here? I'm going to get rid of all your money. And he's like, well, don't ever threaten me again. And also, I needed somebody to help me track you. And just so happens I know a tracker. And then like Tiger's in the window, which was pretty cool. So then Moon Knight takes this guy down too and gets his money back or whatever. And then he and Tigra have like a pretty cool like heart to heart on the roof, where he's just like telling her all the heavy stuff that's been going on and why he's trying to, I don't know, make the world a better place after, carving moons into people's heads and helping Khonshu take over the entire earth in his name, that whole thing. And Tiger's like, well, I'll hang out with you and I'm here to be your friend. And then that's just kind of how it ends. It was a filler issue, but I still thought it was really, really good. Like, let me show you Tigra, because it's like, this is why there are furries.
Yeah.
Like, stop making Tigra so hot.
Are you shipping them?
I do kind of ship them.
Okay.
Both of them have kids, so I don't know if she's involved with anybody, but Moon Knight has always traditionally been with gosh, I feel like such a fake. The name was right there.
Moon Woman.
No, it was not Moon Woman.
Is Moon Girl his daughter?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Anyway, But it would be cool. Like, dude, tell me that a Moon Knight Tigra team up book just doesn't sound super cool, right?
It does, but it sounds like it'd sell about 5 issues.
Yeah. Um, but anyway, he was involved with Tigra back during the Mark Spector days. But uh, anyway, maybe that's why she is here, because I think after Moon Knight learned he had a daughter, she was like, "Yeah, don't come near us ever again after you help Khonshu take over the world because you're really dangerous." He's like, "Okay, fair enough." Anyway, it was filler, but it was still really, really, really good filler. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Nice, man. Okay, so next for me is Adventureman. This is by Matt Fraction and Terry Dotson, and then Rachel Dotson does the inks, and it's just really good. So you get some past stuff. A bunch of old folks are waking up, and you also just like see I can't remember like the main character's name, but she's got the superpowers, and so she was like asleep for, I think they said like 3 days or 11 days or some crazy number of days, and yeah, so she's like still super strong though and helping people with stuff, and then we might be getting a new superhero showing up. But this book's really, really good, and y'all should be reading it because it's, like I said, really, really good. The art in it is incredible. This is a pretty solid story for this issue. Like, yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. I'm at about an 8 out of 10 on this one. It's just really good.
All right. Next, I will do Aquaman and Green Arrow Deep Target #1. It's written by Brandon Thomas, and the art is done by Ronan Cliquette. This was a very weird book. Very weird book. It starts off with some like government agents out in this Montana National Park, and they're setting up this machine, and they push the button, and then boom, like a little baby T-Rex just spawns on that spot. And then the like director guy, or he's like a general, he's like, "Oh, six or whatever, mission number 34 was a success. Let's pack it up, boys." Shoots the baby dinosaur and kills it. And then yeah. Then it cuts to Green Arrow going underwater, getting to Atlantis, taking out some Atlanteans with some special arrows and hand-to-hand combat, and he makes it to the throne room. And who's sitting on the throne but Oliver Queen in Aquaman's suit? And then Green Arrow, I'm doing quotes, takes off the helmet, and it's Aquaman in Green Arrow's suit. And some Freaky Friday stuff happened, and they're swapped now. Arthur does not have his powers. Oliver has Arthur's powers. And now I guess Arthur's really good at archery. So, but anyway, Arthur thinks that Oliver was behind it, and Oliver's like, definitely not behind it. I don't want to be some king down here. Like, I want to be back up there helping the people, as Green Arrow
He wants
does.
to be where the people are.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, anyway, Arthur's like, fine, if it wasn't you, let's find out who did this to us. And yeah, then the like government agent general guy, dude, I don't know. I don't know how to explain this. He's just like doing some shady stuff behind the scenes, and we don't find out what it is. And then it cuts to some place called the Scorpio headquarters, and this guy's there. I don't know who it is or if it's just a new character,
I
but
don't
he's
know.
like, someone radios to him that Green Arrow and Aquaman are awake and they're like alive and working together. And this guy's just like, excellent. Let's make sure we're prepared for him next time. And then it says to be continued. So like it was a lot of setup and no questions were answered, but I'm still kind of like intrigued a little bit. So it's like I'll probably check out the next one just to see if any of this is cleared up. But if I still feel as confused after issue 2, then I'll drop it. It wasn't bad by any means, but I am kind of like, well, how did they get their powers switched? So
And my big thing though is like, why didn't Aquaman and Ollie's body just call Aquaman all, or call Oliver in Aquaman's body? It's not like they're enemies. He didn't have to do all that sneaky stuff. He could have just been like, "Hey, you in my body?" He'd be like, "Yeah, you in mine? Yeah. Oh, let's try to figure this out." Like they're friends, you know? It's maybe
I don't
maybe
disagree with you.
maybe Ollie's just mad. He's like, "I used to be the blonde bombshell with a great facial hair and you're stealing this from me."
I guess, dude. I mean, I think it's very unlike Aquaman to just shoot first and ask questions later. Like he's a king. He knows diplomacy. So it's
Yeah.
weird that he's like, this must have been Oliver and I'm gonna go up there and kick his butt. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's whatever. I'll probably give it a 6. Like I didn't hate it. I'm just like, what is happening?
Yeah, I got you, man. All right, so next up for me, it's going to be Wolverine, issue 17, and this is by Benjamin Percy with Lan Medina on the pencils. And these pencils were pretty lacking in my opinion. Like they look like the look is cool, but like everything seemed posed, if that makes any sense. Like that's kind of my problem with Gleb, where it's like these action scenes and like they kind of worked around that with Robin, but they don't work around as well in Wolverine, where like he has to be killing people, and it's like, well, like right here, it's just kind of like more of a pose and not an action shot. And there's another part too where like, I mean, like look at Maverick. Maverick's shooting his missile, and it's just, I don't know, it doesn't, nothing seems like legit. It just all seems really posed. Yeah, look at Domino. This is probably one of the worst shots.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, and but like the art is really good. Like if they were doing something where it was just chatty, it'd be really good. But with it being a Wolverine book where action's kind of a must, it's just not the best. But Wolverine, Domino, and Maverick team up to stop these bad guys from dumping a bunch of bad stuff in the water that was going to hurt mutants. And then this whole time, Wolverine's buddy Sage is
Mhm.
kind of telling him some stuff that's going on. He's been watching this person for Wolverine, and all of his CIA buddies get murdered, and he ends up running into Maverick because Maverick probably was the one that did it. So really interesting, really cool. The Sage stuff is where it was at. The other kind of Wolverine stuff wasn't the best, but like that art shined with I think his name's Sage. I could be wrong on that. I could be giving the wrong name. I'll find out really quick. Because he's mostly just talking to himself. So I want to say it's that, but I'm wrong a lot. Okay, it just says Jeff Bannister here. Wolverine called him something at the end too, because he just gets a note from him. Uh, oh well, Jeff Bannister. I'll just go by that now, because he's missing at the end of it, and it's his stuff was the interesting stuff in this, which is kind of sad in a Wolverine book. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10.
All right. Next for me is Hellboy, the Silver Lantern Club #1. The story was done by Mike Mignola and Chris Robertson. And then art was done by both Ben Stenbeck and Christopher Mitten. And this takes place in London in the 50s. And Hellboy's there with this guy. He's like, hey, let's go meet my uncle at this tavern. So they get there, and this guy's uncle is like, let me tell you a story about the Silver Lantern Club, which is a club that he was a part of back in the day. Not really sure exactly when that was, but anyway, he tells the story, and essentially members of the Silver Lantern Club are like ghost hunters and stuff and like do exorcisms and whatnot. And they exorcise this demon out of a lady, and then the demon, instead of going back to hell, gets stuck in what looks like a record player, like one of like a huge, I don't know what they called it back then.
Phonograph.
Yeah, sure. And anyway, the demon like is just coming out of this and chanting weird stuff whenever these scientist people are working on this invention. And so the Silver Lantern Club goes there, and the demon, like, they exorcise it from the phonograph, but the demon doesn't go back to hell again. And it's like about to attack them. And then this uncle just like unplugs the machine, and that does it. And he's just like, I guess it's like anything else, like the signal's there, but if it's plugged in, it still has a power source. Okay. So that's it. And then at the end, the uncle's like, if you buy us another round, I'll tell you another story from the Silver Lantern Club. And then it says to be continued. So I think it's going to be a 4-part series. But honestly, dude, this was boring. Like
Yeah.
I don't care about the Silver Lantern Club. I thought like Hellboy was going to do something cool. But it's not. Like the whole series, or maybe not. I mean, maybe it'll like at the last, the last issue or two, something happens in real life, like real life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if I care enough to read the second, and that's a shame because I pretty much read all these at this point.
I know. That's why I figured you'd still pick it up no matter.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll flip through it, and if it's just more of this, and I'm not gonna read it, I'm gonna give it like a 3. The art wasn't even that good. It like, sometimes Mignola picks artists that kind of mimic his style a little bit, and this
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even the case. So it's just like a bad story, and the art wasn't that impressive. So
Dang,
not good.
man. I am sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, so next for me is The Amazing Spider-Man number 77. And this is by Kelly Thompson and Sarah Pichelli. And so this, like, the last 2 issues I was pretty high on. It had the same creative team per each issue. And we talked about this being kind of maybe being a train wreck, getting a new creative team. And we were right, because it just feels like the other one's Amazing Spider-Man, and this is like Spectacular Spider-Man, because they don't really seem connected. Like, they're connected that the characters are the same, but the story doesn't pick up where the last one left off. If I remember right, the last one left off with Spider-Man having his like new weapons, about to beat up the UFOs. This one this one starts with Spider-Man just training with Misty and Colleen Wing, and then it has nothing. It doesn't even mention the UFO stuff, except for like Peter and Mary Jane and Aunt May are worried about Peter. And we get some Morbius. Ben Reilly fights Morbius. It seems like something's going on with Ben Reilly's powers too. But yeah, it's just kind of like, I probably would have liked this if I hadn't already had the other, because this doesn't seem the same. It doesn't seem connected. So yeah, it's not ideal at all. I'm gonna keep giving this a go, but yeah, this was very much a letdown, and it's getting into a train wreck territory, because it's just kind of like, oh, this is just 2 separate series. I'll have to wait till the writers that are doing the story that I like are working on it, and then I'll go back to it, because yeah, and I didn't even like the art. The art was not my favorite. So for me, it's gonna be a 6 out of 10. Just pretty disappointing.
That is disappointing. Lots of disappointments this week.
I know. It's like how my parents feel about me.
All right. Next for me is Cross to Bear number 1. It's written by Marko Stojanovic and art by Sanisa Bonovic. So sorry to those creators. So yes, this is put out by Aftershock, and while Seven Swords wasn't really doing it for me, this looked interesting enough by the cover that I was willing to give it a shot. And also because I just like my Aftershock ambassador that comes by my store. Try to
Hope he's
support.
listening.
Yeah, I know, right? So anyway, I have to do what you did, Casey, and read the synopsis because I don't really know how else to tell you what happened in this. But Edgar swore that he was done with the Order. But now Edgar has no choice but to do what he promised he never would: return to the Order, and his brother along with it, to enact his plan of terrible revenge. So that's going to be the next issue. So essentially, this issue was Edgar's brother comes and finds Edgar, and he's like, "Hey, I know you haven't done anything with the Order in like a decade, but I need your help because what I came here for wasn't you, but who I need to find in this area I can't find because I don't know the terrain like you do. So help me out. Just one last ride." And Edgar's like, "No, I'm married. I walked away, and I've had no regrets about walking away. I don't want to do it." And I'm guessing that the next issue, Edgar's wife is going to get murdered, and then Edgar's going to join the Order again. And that's going to be his terrible revenge. I don't know what else it could be. So, yeah, this was like the Order is some like ancient, like back to Arthurian days because they showed a flashback of like the round table and whatnot, or maybe it's Templars, but um I don't know, it kind of takes place during like Wild West, which I like. I don't know, I like timepieces and stuff like that, but we'll see what the next issue does. I will read issue 2, but this was a little bit weird and it was lots and lots and lots of setup. So hopefully the next issue delivers, and if it doesn't, I will sadly be dropping it. So I'm going to give it just a 5 out of 10, just middle of the road.
Now, did you say how many issues it is altogether?
I don't know. I
Okay,
assume 4 or 5, like most Aftershock titles.
I gotcha. Okay, so next for me is Chew by John Layman and Dan Boltwood. It's John Layman by Chew. Uh, so yeah, we get more time travel in this one. This is more very much just kind of like, oh, this is how Saffron met this bad guy, and now what they're going to be doing, and it was just all kind of like showing past stuff. So like it was kind of just so. This like it should have been better for what it is with True and John Layman and all that stuff, for how much I love this stuff. So it's kind of a letdown that way. So yeah, I mean, it's like we get a little bit of time travel, the art, and it's a lot of fun. The story itself is fun, but just not much happens. So it's gonna be at another 6. I think that's 3 6s in a row for me. So spooky season, 666.
Did you do that on purpose?
I didn't, but I was like, might as well, might as well bring it up.
Right. So I think I just have the 7 that we read together.
Oh, okay. So really quick, I'll talk about Daredevil. This one, let's see if it's going to break the 6 curse. We'll find out.
I hope so. You love this book.
It's Chip Zdarsky and Stefano Landini with Francisco Mobili on the art. And so you have Typhoid Mary, Daredevil, and Electra Daredevil fighting all 30, or I don't know how many, all of the Bullseyes. They're teaming up. But then like Typhoid gets worried that Bullseye is gonna, yeah, she gets married. Well, I mean, spoiler alert, but she gets worried that one of the Bullseyes could be going after Kingpin because they don't know how many there are. So she kind of leaves Elektra high and dry. Elektra goes and finds them, and she basically just outsmarts Bullseye because Bullseye is not very smart. And kind of goes like, you're not good enough to kill me. You have to have these extra helpers. And, he's like, oh, well, fine. These other Bullseyes will do everything I say. So Bullseyes, kill yourselves. And so they just both kill each other. And so that he can prove he's strong enough to kill Elektra, which, spoiler alert, Elektra's awesome. And we get like Matt Murdock shows back up, and then the cops want to arrest him, and the other superheroes on the scene are kind of telling them like, "Yay, he's okay," and which it's like I can get why the cops are like, "No, he's still a fugitive. Like we can bring him back in and doesn't have to go to jail, but we need to take him into holding until a judge sorts it out because we're trying to do our job. You guys aren't, technically legal, so it'd be nice if you just let us do our job so we can get home to our families." But they were trying to give the cops a little bit, like trying to make them seem a little bit worse than what they were. Like the one that was yelling at them was kind of being a jerk for for someone that deals with superheroes all the time. He's being a little bit too much of a jerk, but otherwise it was such a great issue. We also get a proposal, and I'm not going to say who, but it's going to be a great wedding. Nothing bad's going to go wrong. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Who is it though? I want to know.
I mean, you've seen the solicitations. You already know who the two characters that are going to get married.
I have forgotten, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. I mean, like one's like really good at bowling, the other one might have typhoid fever.
Oh goodness, that was so smooth. All right, what order are we doing this in? Can I suggest, since it's
of course
Halloween, that we end on DC versus vampires?
I wanted to end on the Long Halloween because that was my favorite.
Okay, well, you know what? I love you, and we can end on that one.
Okay, because I mean, like I said, it's my favorite comic I read this week. So,
all right, so let's do Long Halloween last. This is how you're stacking up your books. DC versus vampires.
Okay.
Wonder Girl. Task Force Z. Robin. The Becoming, and then Detective.
I don't have Detective, bud.
Oh, okay. Did you forget it or did you drop it?
I forgot it. Like I forgot it a few times now, and I just kind of I don't remember the last issue I read because I remember like just forgetting it, and then I think I finally saw it, but since it comes out like twice a month, it throws me off.
Oh,
and it's not good. It's not as good as Action Comic.
Okay. Then yeah, let me talk about that real quick. It's written by Tamaki and art's done by Dan Mora. So the last issue, the mayor Nakano there's like a cave in, and so he and Batman are both dropped like 20 feet under the Gotham sewers in the cave systems. So Batman's trying to save him, and then Batwoman is like taking care of this criminal who's taken over City Hall in the mayor's absence. And that's Casey where I sent that one cool panel from.
Oh, okay.
And then yeah, there's like, the classic, the rocks have fallen in the cave in between Batman and Nakano, and Batman's like, I'll get you out of there soon. But it turns out on Nakano's side are the little seeds, that vile plants that infect people or whatever, the little alien creatures. Yep. And so they start to take over Nakano, and Batman, he busts through the rocks, and he's just like, water. So then he shoots his grapple gun up and suspends himself in the air. And while Nakano's being like eaten alive by these things in the water, he then shoots, I guess, out of some sort of like stun gun into the water and like just full on electrocutes the mayor to kill these little creatures. And then Batman's trying to do CPR on him. And then it's just like, to be continued.
Yeah.
And man, I like Tamaki and I love Dan Mora and Jordi Belair on the colors, but it's like, dude, how long are we gonna do this stupid Vile storyline? I don't care anymore.
I know.
I
Like,
don't care.
I don't think either of us have cared like 4 issues ago.
I know, man. But now I mean, it's just like I don't really know what this had to do with Fear State because it's a Fear State tie-in, other than the fact that those dudes take over City Hall and like the magistrates units are like trying to bust down the door. But then Batwoman goes in there and takes care of it. But here's the stupidest part. Batwoman goes in as herself. All right. She goes in as herself. And then the guy's like, this place belongs to Nero, which is himself. It's like, and you will pay for your ignorance, wench. She goes, oh, I guess I made a mistake. Or maybe you did. And then it cuts to this. So it's like, they know your identity now. And I don't think that's public. Is it?
Well, I thought the red hair was always a wig. So
I don't know.
I was assuming she wasn't being 100% Kate. She was being,
I don't know. I mean, maybe she's wearing it here, but if I don't know. I don't know.
Does she like ever say, "Howdy, I'm Kate, and I'm here to kick your butt"? Because that would have been pretty great, especially with that southern accent.
No, she doesn't do that. But dude, like Batwoman's hair is way longer than Kate's hair. Like the switching between scenes. So I don't know what's going on. But either way, I was just like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is like a 5 for me because like the art's good, but it's just like, okay, so Batman electrocutes the mayor. And it's like he's having a conversation with Nakano between this wall. And Nakano's like, I don't trust you. Go get my men to come down here and get me. And Batman's like, but there's cave-ins. Like you would risk all those people's lives to save your one life. It's like, you're just going to have to trust me to get you out of here. But then he's like, the average human can survive 10 volts. Well, this is a lot more than that. He says that and
That's
electrocutes
hilarious.
the mayor. And then he's doing CPR. He's like, get up, get up. And it's like, what if he doesn't? What if you just killed the mayor? I know that that's not
hiding bodies.
I know that's not going to happen, but Tamaki should like write this better. You know what I mean? Like
she's a better writer than that.
She is. It's like, dude, so you would risk just killing this guy? Because I'm pretty sure that would send Batman into a spiral that he would not come out of, dude.
Yeah, he doesn't have Alfred to hide, to like be like, no, he's just sleeping, Master Bruce, and he'd be like, okay, good, I was worried.
Right. I don't know, man. It's poor writing, and I hate to say it because I love this creative team, but it's like, dude, I might have to drop this until the next story arc takes place because this just sucks.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it dropped until the next story because that was bad.
Yeah.
All right, man. So you ready to? Oh wait, yeah, you gave it a rating. So you ready to talk about Aquaman: The Becoming?
I am. Take it away.
Okay, so I'm trying to find the creative team. I was hoping you'd say a little bit more, like, oh yeah, I'm really excited to hear about this guy fishing. Okay, so it's by Brandon Thomas with Okay, so the creative team is Brandon Thomas with Diego Oloro Tegua and Skylar Patridge on the pencils. And Brandon Thomas does a really good job of writing Mira in this. I liked her so much. And Jackson's pretty cool. My one knock for me personally is there's a story part that, like, there's a speedster that gets introduced and Jackson's mom breaks free. And then it's like cuts away. And then we don't really know what happens from her getting there to that house. There's no mention of the speedster again. That was a little annoying, but what did you think of this, man?
I liked it, but I had two things that I thought were stupid. The first one is how the Atlantean officers are talking. They're just like, normally the Atlanteans are like, they present themselves in like a more stoic manner, I guess. And these guys are like, come on, man. Yeah, man. It's just like a weird, like they don't talk like that.
Part of me thinks there's more to them than, just being like Atlantean guards or whatever. So like I don't think they're on the up and up is basically what I'm trying to say. So like
I hope that's the case because like the guy's just like, oh, bro, come on, Tanner. Like, get your stuff together, man. We're doing an interrogation. And it's just
yeah.
not good. And then the other thing was this scene right here, Casey.
Yeah. It's pretty dang goofy.
It looks stupid. And then you're just going to be driving this motorcycle and have your infant like in an open faced cockpit. Like, anything could fly up and just take out your baby. Like,
Yeah.
it's terrible.
I just want to know where she got it. Like she's just like, yep, time to hit the aqua bike.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I thought all that was just so stupid. But apart from that, like it's still good. Merritt is written well. I think Jackson's written well. And I'm still in it. So I'm probably at a 7 on this.
Yeah, no, when I was reading this, I was like, this is kind of the epitome of a 7. So that's where I'm at too.
Okay. All right. So then next, we will talk about Robin. And this was written by Joshua Williamson. And then art was done by Gleb Melnikov and Max Dunbar. So Casey, how'd you feel about this one?
Oh, it's pretty fun. We get some like for like the last bit of fights, it's still they don't do much in the way of fights, and the fights themselves don't look the best because I'm still not a big fan of Gleb's fighting stuff. And then you also like I'm interested in seeing who that Deathstroke ripoff kid is, and any ideas on who that could be because I don't have any. And
I don't, man. I thought this was going to be the unmasking, and I was
yeah,
stoked, but the mystery lives on.
and then Connor Hawk and him at the end. It's like, man, I don't want them to job out Connor to Damien. Like, goodness.
I'm hoping that something happens in the middle of the fight where we don't get to see the end.
Yeah, and then I hope the series, like, or at least the series of the arc, they do the Rocky, what is it, 2 ending
Mm-hmm.
or 3 or
Mm-hmm.
where they're walking together to the ring, and hope that's how it goes.
Yeah, same. But I like all the side characters. I think Flatline's great. I love Ravager, Connor, obviously, and now we know who Madame Soul is. That was interesting take. But even though like the fight scenes aren't fluid and look great, I still think he's a good artist.
No, it's one of those things where he does like I think Josh Williamson's working towards his strengths in this series because it's like the stuff where it's like him talking and all this other stuff. It is really good. It's just fight scenes are not his strong point, and it shows when a book about fighting.
Well, hey, I mean, maybe that's why Roger Cruz is taking over. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be funny. The next things is just like Robin learning how to make like a really nice cup of coffee, and it's just like, why not keep Gleb for this one?
But I'm probably, I've been down on a lot of books this week. I'm gonna give this one a 9. I really love this book.
Really? Wow. Yeah, I'm at about a 7 for this one too. I like it okay, but it did not. It nowhere near a 9 for me.
Okay.
Okay, so next up is Task Force Z. Z for Zombie. It's by Matthew Rosenberg and Eddie Barrows on the pencils. And yeah, I like that Rosenberg actually he pays attention to continuity and doesn't let Jason use a gun in this. Any big takeaways from this besides Crazy Quilt being crazy cool?
This is one of the few times where I don't think Jason is written poorly, you
No.
know? He like the jokes that he cracks are actually funny,
Hmm.
and I just feel like if Jason were actually thrown into this insane situation, that this is probably how he'd act. And also, uh, I liked Mr. Bloom, and I didn't
Yeah.
think that I would care for that character at all. So,
Yeah, he was fun. And uh, it's it it's just like, since I didn't get to read some of the backups for the Task Force Z stuff, it's like because I missed how he got here. So like I'm kind of like tossed in, but I did like it. I was a little disappointed with parts of it, like the fact that it seems like all of the zombies are gonna die. It's like, how are they gonna bring back a crushed um man bat, like a shattered man bat and all that stuff? It's like, are they just gonna glue them back together? Like, how's that gonna work?
honestly, dude, I bet they just like dump all the pieces into a vat of that Lazarus resin and it'll
Yeah,
probably like fix itself or
I
whatever.
gotcha.
Um, but yeah, I thought this was pretty neat. The Lazarus edibles, I think, are a unique take
That's
to like
hilarious.
keep them all in line, but I thought it was neat, man. Probably, I wanted dumb like Halloween fun, and that's what this was. So, it's probably a 7 for me, but it's like a strong 7.
Yeah, I'm at an 8. I liked it a lot. I thought it was good fun, and I like Rosenberg.
Yeah. Okay. So next we've got Wonder Girl, number 4. And this was written and drawn by Joelle Jones. And then it looks like she had some help from Adriana Mello on the art as well. So I like this a lot. I'm mostly confused about is it seems like there's a missing issue that really shows like why she just up and left everything to go and be here and like train as the champion. Like I know that she was struck by that arrow and that kind of had like an entrancing effect on her. Um, but man, it just feels like something's missing a little bit.
Yeah, I get that. And I don't know, this issue for me personally, like, the art is amazing, and this art is kind of covering up the fact that I didn't really care much for the story. Because it's like it jumps around so much. She's like, "Oh, before I decide if I'm gonna make this decision, I gotta go see this guy I care about a lot." And she goes and sees him, spending time with him. Then like this Amazon pops up, and then she's like, "Well, see a guy I care about. I gotta go see this Amazon that I don't even remember." And I gotta so see these other two Amazons too. It's crazy. I'm really popular,
And
and it
dude,
was just
I
fun around.
that drove me nuts too because they're like on this big hunt for 3 issues and then they get there and it's like a one sentence interaction and then they're
Yep.
gone.
Yeah. So I mean, this issue is by far the weakest one that this series has had, because they've all been like bangers, and so like this one's just kind of like, ugh, I was so let down, and that's really going to show in my rating because the others have been so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. And like the another thing too. She's like doing all this training and it's not working out and she stands real sad like in the rain and then the horse is like, all right, I'm sorry for bullying you, we can be friends, and then all of a sudden she's amazing at everything, and that kind of bugged me. It's like, why, like what was the turning point? Was it just the horse being friends? Like I don't know.
Yeah, man, I get that. I will say though, it does make some sense with it being like, because I mean, that's also like that's first off with the being sad and not trying to get the horse anymore, the horse coming to her. That's like, it sounds like it's something that would happen like a Greek story, where it's like, oh, she couldn't get the Pegasus until she showed her sadness to the Pegasus, and then it was like, let's be friends, some stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then with, as far as being good at stuff, it's that makes sense too, because it's like, oh, once you get over that first hurdle, the other stuff's going to start coming easier to you and easier to you. It's like I can see how that works. I'm not going to say it's good writing because I'm not convinced it is. I'm just saying like why I can understand why they did it that way.
Yeah, it's fair enough. And like I guess like dogs and cats are kind of like that sometimes. We're like, come here, and they want nothing to do with you until you stop paying attention to them, and then they come over to you.
Yeah.
But still. I have a feeling you're going to be a lot harsher than I am. I'm probably at like a 7 for it.
I'm only at a 5. I mean, not that much harsher, but still, it was just kind of like, this is a letdown. You are normally a 9 or a 10, so this is book, you know, the art can only do so much, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next up is DC versus Vampires. This is by James Tynion and Rosenberg with, where is the art?
It's
With Otto Schmidt on the art. What'd you think, man?
Honestly, dude, I loved it.
Really?
Yeah, like the humor was good. I didn't see the twist coming, but you know, the big colored twist there. And then I really, really, really like that they used the character iVampire, because I read that New 52 series and liked it a whole lot. And it was really cool to see him since then, really.
Yeah.
But art was cool, and I kind of dig the setup.
Yeah, I'm interested. I just don't like, I'm just going to spoil it. I don't like that they made Hal a vampire because it doesn't really make any sense how he could have been bit unless it was in his sleep. Maybe we'll get that explanation, or they'll just be like, no, don't ask questions. You're not supposed to ask questions about this part.
I wondered that too. And also in my head, I don't like, you know, way more about Green Lantern stuff than I do. I was thinking like, wouldn't the Ring know he was bit and compromised and then like shoot off of him?
Yeah, he'd no longer be able to overcome great fear, or, you know, whatever. So that's my main knock to it. And it's also like, I don't know. It's crazy to me that only Hal Jordan knew that there was a vampire on their doorstep, and then like no one really cared to ask questions about it until way late, you know, like right after he murdered, you know, blended up their friend and dumped him down the drain. So that was a little weird, but other than that, I did like it.
Well, okay. Well, give me some specifics that you liked.
I liked the art a lot. I did like the secondary twists at the end. I thought it was interesting with Lex's blood, that whole part. And just the concept itself is a really neat concept that has me here for at least 3 issues.
I think my favorite part was Lex saying, make sure the world knows it was me.
Oh, yeah. That was perfect.
So good.
And plus, we get to see Alfred again, and that was just nice.
Yeah, love Alfred. I agree. But man, the flashback scene, like, oh, the art is just so cool. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I'm looking forward to more. This was probably my second favorite of the week for sure. I'm going to give it a 9.
I'm at an 8, so I'm a little bit more of a curmudgeon than you apparently, but you know, I still liked it.
Right on. And finally, we've got Batman The Long Halloween Special. And this is written by Jeff Loeb with art by Tim Sale. And I'll throw in the colorist too, which is Brennan Wagner. But you said you really liked it, man, so go ahead and take the floor.
Okay, so first I'll say, like, the one thing that I didn't like is, if you remember in Dark Victory, he had just gotten Robin. And so, like, Robin was kind of a big part. In this one, it's still kind of him just dealing with having Robin and trusting him still. And it's like, he should have been over that with Dark Victory. That being said, nothing bad about this other than that. We get, you know, like, Jeff Loeb just needs to write Julian Day all the time. He makes him so good, so creepy, so cool. We get Harvey Dent, who Jeff Loeb should also write a lot too, because he does that so well. And it's also, we kind of get, you know, we get more like a kind of a for sure thing of what happened in The Long Halloween, because it was always kind of vague, not super vague, but, you know, like, who was the holiday killer, you know, like, and then like now Batman knows who the real holiday killer was and all that stuff. Just so awesome. I loved it. I I love the other one so much, and this is like a good sequel, not just a cash grab. And I mean, it's so much better than the animated movie that I started watching. That's just rough.
Right. I've not seen the movie, but nobody has said like overwhelmingly positive things.
It's also one of those things where they went a really cheap route to animate it, and there's a lot of it where it's just kind of like the amount of movement's very similar to that of an Archer, where it's like it's fine in Archer where they don't move a lot, but in a Batman you want them to move, and like it's just it's not very good. Like the voice
Right.
acting's good, but the story and then like they're like, we know better than the comic book writers. We're going to do our own thing with the story of this beloved comic that we're
Right.
using the name of for some reason. No.
Yeah.
But what'd you like about this besides, the art?
So, man, I was really worried going into this. I was like,
Same.
this doesn't need to be made, and I haven't liked what Jeff's written lately, so I don't think this is going to be that good. But it was. It was really good. I like how he writes Gordon. I like how he writes Dent. Batman's fine because it's written during a specific time in Batman's career. Um, Julian.
Sorry, really quick. One thing that I love too that I just remembered I didn't want to forget is the Barbara and Robin scene.
Mm-hmm.
That was so great.
Yeah, I loved him saying, "Tell Barbara that she's cool." But yeah, Julian like dressing up as a priest and then all of his minions doing the month song. I'm like, dude, this is so weird.
Yeah, it is. It was awesome though.
But yeah, I liked all of it. And I don't know. I think it ended nicely too. Like it was just it was a really good one shot. I liked it.
And it kind of gave me hope that they're going to be doing more because it's like the end for now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, let's hope we get like a Superman for all seasons this coming year too. That wouldn't be too bad.
That would be cool. But yeah, and then Grundy's sacrifice there was sad and tugged at the old heartstrings too, because it's hard not to like that big dummy sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, what would you rate it?
Surprising no one. I'm at a 10.
I think I'm also there at a 10, man. Like this really caught me by surprise and was really good.
Okay, buddy. Well, what are you excited for next week? Because I haven't looked over the email yet. So
well, it doesn't go out till tomorrow. So
oh yeah, that's true. That's why I haven't looked it over.
Yeah, but I did get my DC stuff early, so I can tell you 3 DC books that I'm excited.
I mean, if you want, you can just email me a audio recording of you saying what you're excited about, and I'll just do mine, and we'll put it in and post if you want.
Oh, sure. I mean, do you want me to say it now or not?
You can if you want. I was just saying we can, if there's other titles that come out that you're like, oh, I know.
I think these 3 would be my 3 choices anyways.
Okay, cool.
So one is going to be Static, Static number 4. And then that Arkham City Order of the World number 2. That first one was so creepy. I'm so stoked for this second issue. And then I'm hesitant to say it, but I can't help be stoked for this. Dark Knights of Steel number 1.
I think you're going to like it. I mean, Tom Taylor's bread and butter is out of continuity stuff. So this is going to be about perfect.
Yeah.
And then mine will go in right here. Okay, so Fantastic Four time, man. Halloween today. So give me, what would be your 4 Halloween characters? I'm being very vague with this. Like, and tell me, you think they'd be more likely to trick you or they'd accept the treat?
Yeah, so the first one that comes to mind is my favorite comics horror character, and that is Werewolf by Night. And I'm gonna go more of the trick route here, and by trick I mean he'd probably try to eat me because he can't always control himself.
Well, heck, you're a treat in of yourself, man.
Oh, silver-tongued devil. And then next, one of my other favorites, we just talked about him, I Vampire. But I don't think he'd try to eat me. I think he'd accept a treat as long as it was like blood flavored. um, and then one that was kind of out of left field, but I think works is Blue Devil. And I think he'd definitely accept the treat. He seems like a cool enough guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, he'd probably trick you if you're giving out fun size, but if you're giving full size, he's going to for sure accept those.
Yeah. And then finally, Blade. I think that he would be short with me, but would otherwise, I mean, he still wants a treat.
Yeah, he'd be like, "You got Reese's?" Yeah.
What about you, man?
So Frankenstein from DC. DC's Frankenstein, not Marvel's. I'd go with him. Yeah, he's one, and I'd say he's a treat lover for sure. And then Scarecrow from Marvel, not DC, and he's gonna be tricking you. He's gonna be trying to get you riled up. Yeah. And then Jack-o'-lantern again. He's a bad guy. He's gonna be doing a trick. And then the last one's gonna be Demo Goblin. And I think he's gonna treat. He's gonna be like, he might be like, I'm gonna rip your, I'm gonna use my flaming sword and cut your head off or something. But then he'll be like, Kit Kats, king size? Whoa. Yeah, you're good. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about anything there.
And I love Kit Kats, so I'd be right there with him.
Do you break them, or do you just like a monster just eat it?
So usually I break them, but a funny story. So I still ask customers to wear a mask inside my store, and I was digging into a Kit Kat because I had bought some candy for the Halloween, like just to set out for the Halloween books. And I had my mask down and I just opened it and I heard the door. I was like, oh crap. So I just shoved the whole thing in my mouth and ate it really quick, which I feel like is just barbaric for Kit Kats. But
yeah, I love just open up the full pack and just eating it. Just like not even breaking off, just eating it normal. Made a kid cry doing that one time.
All right, folks. I think that is the end of the episode. So let's do the closing plugs. If you would, go to facebook.com/2worldspodcast and give the page a like. You can also find us on Twitter at 2_worlds_PC. Your dogs are really going nuts today.
Yeah, they love spooky season.
You can find us on Instagram at 2worldspod. You can email us at 2worldspodcast@gmail.com. And please, if you would, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, leave a comment, tell us who your favorite
spooky character is. And also, how do you eat your Kit Kats? Tell us that. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
And how you eat M&Ms. That's another fun one. But we'd love to stay in chat. No, you just dump the whole bag in your mouth. Or you do one at a time. But we'd love to stay in chat. But Jake's got to electrocute me so we can go get some candy. Bye, guys.
See ya.